Hello and welcome to Midday News. My name is Aditi Nagpal Girotra. Before we begin the bulletin, let's take a look at the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in New York to address United Nations General Assembly session on climate change today, to also address high-level meetings on universal health coverage and terrorism. Bilateral meetings with top leadership of Qatar and Italy also lined up. Time for decisive battle against terrorism and its sponsors. Howdy Modi event echoes with Prime Minister's call in Houston. Standing alongside Modi, US President Trump pledges India and America will together fight radical Islamic terrorism. Balakot terror camps reactivated in Pakistan, 500 terrorists waiting to infiltrate, says Army Chief General Bipin Rawat. Asserts army ready to combat any threat from across the border. Nominations begin for by-polls to 66 assembly constituencies across 17 states and 1 union territory. Notification issued for by-polls to Samastipur Lok Sabha seat. Voting underway for by-polls to assembly seats of Dantewada in Chhattisgarh, Pala in Kerala, Tripura's Badurghat and Hamirpur in UP. Markets rejoice after corporate tax cut. Sensex jumps 1,300 points in early trade, surges over 39,000 points. Nifty crosses 11,000 mark. After delivering an electrifying address in Houston, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in New York to participate in the 74th session of the UN General Assembly. Prime Minister Modi has a packed bilateral and multilateral agenda over the next 5 days, including 9 key speeches at high-level summits and plurilateral engagements during the UN General Assembly session and on its sidelines. Modi's engagement for today will begin with the high-level Climate Action Summit hosted by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in the UN General Assembly chamber. Modi is among the first set of speakers to address the summit, along with Prime Minister of New Zealand, President of Marshall Islands and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Immediately after this session, Modi will address the first ever high-level meeting on universal health coverage, which will launch new efforts to provide access for all to affordable, inclusive and resilient health systems. Later in the day, Modi will address the leaders' dialogue on strategic responses to terrorist and violent extremist narratives organized by a group of countries, along with the UN Secretariat, which deals with the Office of Counter-Terrorism. In a grand show of friendship and common vision, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump on Sunday shared the stage at a gala event replete with symbolism and substance, as the two leaders pledged to fight terrorism while heaping praise on each other's achievement. At the mega Howdy Modi event in Houston, Texas, Prime Minister Narendra Modi championed his government's decision to scrap Jammu and Kashmir's decades-old special status in his address to the Indian community. The Prime Minister also called for a decisive battle against terrorism and its sponsors. Modi drew a parallel between the 9/11 and 26/11 terror attacks, saying time has come for a decisive fight against those who promote and support terrorism in a veiled attack on Pakistan, which is accused of harboring terror groups.
भारत अपने यहाँ जो कर रहा है, उससे कुछ ऐसे लोगों को भी दिक्कत हो रही है जिनसे खुद अपना देश संभल नहीं रहा है। ये वो लोग हैं जो अशांति चाहते हैं, आतंक के समर्थक हैं, आतंक को पालते पोसते हैं। अमेरिका में 9/11 हो या मुंबई में 26/11 हो, उसके साजिशकर्ता कहां पाए जाते हैं? अब समय आ गया है कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ और आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा देने वालों के खिलाफ निर्णायक लड़ाई लड़ी जाए। इस लड़ाई में प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप पूरी मजबूती के साथ आतंक के खिलाफ खड़े हुए हैं। एक बार आतंक के खिलाफ लड़ने का राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप का जो मनोबल है, हम सब मिलकर के उनको भी स्टैंडिंग ओवेशन देंगे।
Making a strong pitch against terrorism at the Howdy Modi event, Prime Minister Modi said, India's decision to nullify Article 370 has caused trouble to those who cannot handle their country. The Prime Minister said Article 370 was encouraging terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. He asserted that its nullification will allow development and prosperity in the region and end discrimination against women, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Modi reiterated that US President Trump is standing firm with the battle against terrorism.
आर्टिकल 370 ने जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख के लोगों को विकास से और समान अधिकारों से वंचित रखा था। इस स्थिति का लाभ आतंकवाद और अलगाववाद बढ़ाने वाली ताकतें उठा रही थी। अब भारत के संविधान ने जो अधिकार बाकी भारतीयों को दिए हैं, वही अधिकार जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख के लोगों को भी मिल गए हैं। हमारी पार्लियामेंट के अपर हाउस और लोअर हाउस दोनों ने इससे जुड़े फैसलों को 2/3 बहुमत से पास किया है। मैं आप सबसे आग्रह करता हूं, हिंदुस्तान के सभी सांसदों के लिए स्टैंडिंग ओवेशन हो जाए।
At the beginning of the event, Prime Minister Modi introduced President Trump to the Indian Americans as a very special person, whose presence at the event signals India has a true friend at the White House. He said the presence of such a big gathering is not confined to arithmetic and that people are seeing new history and chemistry being made. It is for the first time that both the leaders shared a stage together and addressed a record crowd of 50,000 Indian Americans. Modi also underscored his government's push for development in India, saying it is the most discussed word in the country as his government is aiming high and achieving higher. He said in the last 5 years, India has bid farewell to at least 1,500 archaic law. He added that on the 2nd of October, when the country will celebrate the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, India will bid farewell to open defecation.
जरूरतमंद नागरिकों के लिए वेलफेयर स्कीम चलाने के साथ साथ नए भारत के निर्माण के लिए कुछ चीजों का फेयरवेल भी दिया जा रहा है। हमने जितना महत्व वेलफेयर को दिया है, उतना ही फेयरवेल को भी दे रहे हैं। इस 2 अक्टूबर को जब देश महात्मा गांधी की 150वीं जन्म जयंती मनाएगा तो भारत ओपन डेफिकेशन को फेयरवेल दे देगा।
Addressing the mega Howdy Modi event, United States President Donald Trump said that they are working towards eradicating radical Islamic terrorism. Trump vowed to protect innocent civilians from the threat of radical Islamic terrorism. He said border security is vital to both America and India, as he emphasized on bolstering further the Indo-US security relationship. He added that India and United States relationship today is stronger than ever before, and we are grounded in commitment to democracy.
We stand proudly in defense of liberty, and we are committed to protecting innocent civilians from the threat of radical Islamic terrorism. Both India and the United States also understand that to keep our communities safe, we must protect our borders.
During his nearly 25-minute speech, Trump praised Modi's economic reforms and said these reforms have lifted more than 3 million people out of poverty. Trump said the two countries will soon sign several defense deals to bolster their relationship. The president said over the last decade, India and US defense cooperation has reached $18 billion.
US defense sales to India have also reached $18 billion over the past decade. We make the greatest defense mechanisms and equipment anywhere in the world, and India knows that well. We're looking forward to concluding several new defense deals very soon. There are a lot of them in the works. Here in America, we're creating the United States Space Force, and we're working closely with India to enhance space cooperation.
US President Donald Trump also announced that India will soon have access to another world-class American product, NBA basketball. He said that next week, thousands of people will gather in Mumbai to watch the first ever NBA basketball game in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi invited Donald Trump to India with family.
India has never invested in the United States like it is doing today, and I want to say it's reciprocal because we're doing the same thing in India. And very soon, India will have access to another world-class American product, NBA basketball. Wow. Sounds good. That sounds good. Next week, thousands of people will gather in Mumbai to watch the first ever NBA basketball game in India. Am I invited, Mr. Prime Minister? I may come. Be careful, I may come.
Mr. President, मैं चाहूंगा कि आप सब परिवार भारत आए, हम अपना और आप हमें अपना स्वागत करने का अवसर दें। हम दोनों की ये दोस्ती भारत अमेरिका के शेयर्ड ड्रीम्स और वाइब्रेंट फ्यूचर्स को नई ऊंचाई देगी।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi met CEOs from the energy sector in Houston on the first day of his visit to the United States. PM's meeting with the global energy giants focused on working together for energy security and expanding mutual investment opportunities between India and the United States. After the meeting, India's largest LNG importer, Petronet, signed MOUs with American energy major Tellurian for purchase of up to 5 million tons of LNG. Petronet will invest USD 2.5 billion for nearly 20% equity stake in Tellurian Inc.'s Driftwood project. The CEOs noted that there has been considerable improvement in doing business in India and welcomed the recent steps taken by the government to reform and liberalize the economy. They also talked about enhancing their footprint in India. The CEOs present in the meeting were from companies such as Tellurian Inc., Perrott Group and Hillwood, ExxonMobil, Air Products, Baker Hughes, BP plc, and Emerson Electric Company.
We made some suggestions about using our technologies for coal gasification, which would reduce India's dependence on imported oil. We talked about the idea of hydrogen. We are the largest producer of hydrogen. And we talked about the idea of, with the recent regulations in India to limit the use of petroleum coke, how we can help to take that high sulfur coke and petroleum coke and gasify it to produce chemicals, high-end chemicals.
A roundtable of our energy CEOs, along with the key leaders of India, including His Excellency Prime Minister Modi. He opened with some comments to us to lay out his vision for progress that he intends to make and where India goes. And I think all of us who participate in these sessions see that vision as well and support that vision. We're very active in the India market with our own capabilities. We have 7,000 people in India, and he's really keen on the energy industry.
The Mega Howdy Modi event in Houston showed great bonding between the leaders of the world's largest democracies. The grand spectacle saw camaraderie between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump. As we slip into a short break, we leave you with some special moments from the event.
वो जो मुश्किलों का अंबार है, वो जो मुश्किलों का अंबार है, वही तो मेरे हौसलों की मीनार है।
Post-abrogation of Article 370, Indian Army's recruitment rally in Jammu and Kashmir. Hundreds of youths in this area came out to participate in the Army recruitment rally. Years of armed conflict giving way to dreams and aspirations. RSTV reports from Mendhar sector of Poonch in Jammu and Kashmir. Watch our ground report on Army recruitment rally in Jammu and Kashmir.
Welcome back. After the break, you're watching Midday News. Army Chief General Bipin Rawat has said that Pakistan has reactivated terror camps in Balakot very recently. Addressing the media at Officers Training Academy in Chennai today, Army Chief said that about 500 infiltrators were waiting to infiltrate into India. He said our troops are alert and we will ensure that maximum infiltration bids are foiled. He said that Balakot was destroyed in the airstrikes by the Indian Air Force, but now Pakistan has got people back there. Earlier, Indian Air Force had carried out attack at Jaish-e-Mohammed terror camps in Balakot after the deadly terror attacks on CRPF personnel in Pulwama in February this year.
Balakot has been reactivated. Yeah. It's been reactivated by Pakistan. What else?
When, sir? When it has been done?
Very recently.
Sir,
so obviously that shows that Balakot was affected. It had been damaged and destroyed, and that is why people had got away from there. It has now been reactivated, which just goes to highlight that yes, some action had been taken by the Indian Air Force at Balakot, and now they've got the people back there.
Union Minister Amit Shah mooted the idea of a multi-purpose identity card for citizens with all utilities like Aadhaar, passport, driving license and bank accounts. Speaking at the foundation-laying ceremony of the Jangarna Bhavan in the national capital, Amit Shah said that consensus to 2021 data will be collected through mobile app. He also said that the National Population Register is being prepared for the first time in the 2021 census. He said the digital census has the potential to bring all kinds of cards, such as Aadhaar, passport, bank account, driving license, under one platform. Amit Shah said the government is set to spend Rs 12,000 crore on 2021's consensus as well as the preparation of the NPR. The Home Minister said there should also be a system that when a person dies, the information is updated in the population data automatically.
इस 16वीं जनगणना होने जा रही है। कई बदल होते 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 नई पद्धति बनते 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 आज जनगणना डिजिटल भी होने जा रही है। एक मोबाइल ऐप से हम जनता को भी अपना परिचय, अपने परिवार का परिचय, अपने परिवार की संपूर्ण इंफॉर्मेशन अपने आप लोड करने के लिए भी ऑप्शन दे रहे हैं।
4 new Supreme Court judges took oath of office today, taking the total strength of judges in the Apex Court to 34. Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi administered oath of office and secrecy to Justices Krishna Murari, S. Ravindra Bhatt, V. Ramasubramaniam and Rishikesh Roy in a courtroom. The appointment of the 4 judges takes the number of judges in the Apex Court to the total sanctioned strength of 34. The centre had on Wednesday cleared the names of the 4 High Court Chief Justices who were recommended by the Apex Court Collegium on August 30th for elevation as Apex Court judges. Voting is underway for assembly by-polls for 4 constituencies in UP, Kerala, Chhattisgarh and Tripura. Voting is being held for Hamirpur Assembly constituency in Uttar Pradesh, Dantewada in Chhattisgarh, Pala in Kerala and Bahadur Ghat in Tripura today. Voting began at 7 a.m. and will end at 6 p.m. Counting of votes will take place on 27th September. Nominations for by-polls to 66 assembly constituencies begins today after issuing of notification. Nomination for by-polls to Lok Sabha seat of Samastipur will also begin today. Last date for filling nominations is 30th September. Scrutiny of nominations will be held on 1st October, while 3rd October is the last date for withdrawal of candidature. Polling will be held on 21st October, while results will be declared on 24th October. Domestic equity benchmarks cheered the government's move to cut corporate tax rates for the second session in a row, with the S&P BSE Sensex index surging 1,331.39 points in early trade on today, outperforming Asian peers. The broader NSE Nifty 50 benchmark surpassed the 11,650 mark after clocking the biggest single-day gain in over a decade last Friday. Buying across sectors barring IT and pharma shares pushed the markets higher, with banking, auto and consumer goods stocks being the top gainers. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called for structural reforms to make agriculture profitable. Speaking at an event in Swarna Bharat Trust in Hyderabad, Vice President Naidu said Centre and state must accord highest priority to agriculture, education and healthcare sectors. Presenting the Raitu Nestham Awards on 15th anniversary of publication of Raitu Nestham and 2 other journals, Naidu said allied sectors like horticulture and aquaculture need to be promoted to augment farmers' income. Urging scientists to find ways for reducing the input cost for agriculture, he also called for revamping the curriculum of agricultural courses. This to ensure that students spend at least 50% of their study time by interacting with farmers in the field.
The agriculture, as I told you, is the basic culture. It is backbone of our economy, and without agriculture, the country will face challenges and the mankind will face food security related problems also. That's why I say that anybody working for agriculture, anybody serving the cause of the farmers, anybody taking up the rural people's problem, they are really doing a pious duty. And it's our duty to say that we must recognize such people and we must felicitate those people.
Vice President Naidu also called upon centre and states to concentrate on providing quality public health facilities. Inaugurating a free health camp by Kim's Hospital at the Swarna Bharat Trust in Hyderabad on Saturday, Vice President said that medical colleges should organize visits by medical professionals to nearby areas. He said that medical institutions should conduct awareness campaigns on disease prevention and adopting lifestyles. He said that awareness on disease prevention was extremely important as people tend to neglect their health. And with this, it's a wrap on this session of Midday News. Thank you so much for your time.